Good morning, everybody.
Howdy.
You talk to Jane Doe, you lose the coffee.
Once again.
And that's the same comment I made last week and why we're doing this video.
Yes. Kim and I recognize that because we average about 100 new subscribers a month, that not all of you are aware of our relationship with XJW Elva's wife, Jane Doe. And there's actually a little bit of history here. And I'm also going to take the time to explain why she does her own videos on her own channel, because there's a very specific reason why she had to go and do her own videos.
Yeah, and the reason we're doing this is thank you everybody for your comments under our last, several videos. We appreciate it so much. And I always try to have the time to go back and, at least give you a little heart on your comment. But, it's so difficult for me. So that's why I don't do the little heart for a reply to all of you. Because, I go through and I read comments and sometimes I don't always get back to that before I have to go on with something else. So, it's not that I like their comments any better. It's just, I just don't have time to go give everybody a little heart,
Yes.
for a reply. And that's the reason. And, we don't delete comments like others, and Mike will go into
Yeah.
that, later. And if you don't see your comment, it's not that I am deleting them. What happens is we have settings on YouTube that we can do. We either, allow all comments, not have any comments, or there's a couple other settings in between. And I usually set it for to hold questionable,
Potential spam.
potential,
Something like that.
yeah, it's like hold potentially inappropriate comments for review. Well, when that happens, it goes into a spam folder. And the reason I had to do the setting for that is because we were getting a lot of porn channels that were putting links to their porn videos. And I do not want that. So, that's why I have that setting. But unfortunately, if anyone does anything that YouTube deems inappropriate, it goes into the spam folder. Or if you put a link to anything, it will go in the spam folder. And I try to go and empty that once a month, but to be honest, guys, it's hundreds and hundreds of comments.
It's too much.
And when I click on, approve all comments, then everything goes, which means the porn links get through. So, I try to read the comments and it's like, okay, approve, approve, approve. But when there's hundreds and hundreds, I just can't do that every week. I need a team to help me out.
Yeah, we need a team. Well, there again, with that being said, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, so that you guys can appreciate the amount of work behind the scenes that Kim and I have done. And because of that, that's one of the reasons why we habitually unplug our phone between 7 and 8 o'clock at night, because it's too much for two people to do, because we don't have a team supporting us in doing this, and neither do we want one, because we get so many sensitive emails, so many sensitive phone calls and things like that, that we're not going to do that. But we have to set a perimeter. We have to set how we're going to do this.
Well, like today, we're going to take off and have a lunch date and enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet, with each other, instead of sitting and answering the phone and all of that. So we just wanted to explain why, a few things of why we do and say things the way we do. But we did notice a couple of comments about what is up with Mikey and Jane Doe, especially when I made that comment. And so we just wanted to explain, that situation.
And not only that, there was another comment that went something like, Mike's out of coffee because he's talking to another woman.
Well, I talk to a lot of men and women.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't necessarily mean anything's going on. I mean, I probably talk to more men on the phone
Yeah.
and emails than I do women. It doesn't mean anything's going on. So to infer something like that, you know, we're going to set the record straight.
If that was the intention, because see, one of the problems with comments is that when you're reading comments like that, the person leaving the comment could just be innocently doing that, but because you can't hear the verbal communication, that comment may have been, you know, left with a little chuckle or a little eye wink. You're going to put your feelings, you're going to read your feelings into that comment. So we're going to kind of clear the water, and I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we've got these comments wrong, but at the same time, it does give us another golden opportunity to let everybody know, and especially our new subscribers, why we refer to Jane Doe quite often.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it, she's family.
Well, that's what
We're gonna
we
get
gotta
into.
help you guys appreciate.
Yeah, so, you know, doesn't matter, comments or anything. We're not going to infer any negative or bad feelings. So we're just going to let you all know the history. Because like Mike says, we get so many new subscribers that, you know, who don't know that history. And it's funny because it is Watchtower related. It is JW related. And it's quite humorous, actually. Yeah. So to begin with, I just want to say that our friend Jane Doe is an elderly woman who lives alone.
Yeah.
And so that's mostly how this got started with us contact. And also, when she first found our channel, we were in contact. She contacted us because she found out that we were the congregation we were in Wisconsin, O'Connell Falls, Wisconsin, was the same congregation her husband's family was in. And his family was in that area. And we knew several members of her JW husband's family. And so there's, you know, a lot of connections here. In fact, when we were living in Wisconsin in JW's, we went to a wedding, the Rodefers wedding. And there were so many people there. But, you know, in talking to Jane Doe, we found out that we were probably at the same weddings and never even knew one another. Because we didn't know about her until we moved back to the Southwest here. And then we found, you know, when she contacted us, that we actually kind of have a family connection. And this is what it is. My mom's family is from Wisconsin and in that area of O'Connell Falls. And so, you know, when we moved back there in 1999, we were kind of getting to know, you know, all of my mom's connections and families and all of that, and even in the congregations, because back there, almost everybody's related. Well, we found out that one of my cousins, like fourth, fifth, whatever, one of my cousins is married into Jane Doe's husband's family. So
Yeah, and had we not related a issue with a elder committing adultery, she would have never even known that who we were, because her family knew of that incident.
that was her husband's family
Yeah,
that
exact-
that incident occurred in.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because in order for all of that to have come to light, Kim had to go and record it and catch him with a recording because the elders didn't believe the wife. So it took physical evidence, and it happened to be Kim that was recording that.
Yeah, it was my cousin who contacted me and said, look, the elders aren't believing me that he's having an affair with a coworker. And she says, can you help me with this because they think I'm crazy? And so we took a video camera and we got evidence. Yeah, he is having an affair. And then I had the elders come to our house and I showed them the video and they wanted the video. And I says, no, I don't trust you guys. It will accidentally get erased or destroyed. So I showed them the video right on my TV screen. And I says, no, I'm not giving it to you. And I says, if you don't do anything, I'm going to show this to the circuit overseer. And if he don't do anything, I'm going higher. So, yes, they ended up disfellowshipping him only for about 6
Only
months.
about 6 months.
Yeah. But when we were relating this story in a video, then Jane Doe was like, oh my God, I know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so then she contacted us, and then we started becoming friends. And, you know, so that's the, you know, relationship
Yeah.
between, you know, what's up between Mikey and Jane Doe. And I mean, she's just as much as a member of my family as
Right.
she is Mikey. I just don't have time to talk to her every single day, but I do talk to her a lot.
A lot, exactly.
A lot of times, if I don't hear from her for a day or two, I check on her.
And vice versa. If she doesn't
Yeah.
hear from us for a couple of days, she calls and says, you guys okay? Yeah, we're just busy.
Yeah, so, you know, we view her as family.
Right. And because she's got 3 children, one of them is awake, which they do communicate quite often. The other 2 are still in. One of them doesn't really check on her, so she has to call that child in. Well, actually, her other 2 children,
Yep.
but it's actually her that checks on them, not the other way around. So I mean, there's history here that goes beyond just, you know, ex-Jehovah's Witness activism. In fact, it's even more solidified because if you've listened to her story, she actually went and took a college course for senior citizens. And she immersed herself into that course. She bought a lot of books. And when she got done, she gifted them books to Kim and I. And there's even a funny story about one of them, because had it not been for ex-JW Elder's wife, Jane Doe, we would not have a hard copy of the Imperial Bible Dictionary. You know, the one that Watchtower quotes from about the cross. You know, where you can find the ... and recognize what Watchtower did. And there's actually a funny story behind that, because she bought this from eBay, and there was someone else bidding against it. She actually called Kim and said, by chance, are you the one bidding on this? Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, and there again, just to give another elated shout out, Kim and I now have the entire set of the Imperial Bible Dictionary thanks to Mark and Cora Latham.
Yes, we're
See?
still in contact with them too.
Yes, exactly.
And we view them as family.
Exactly. And, you know, because of what Jane Doe sent to us as far as reference books, I now know how some Jewish rabbis view the Old Testament. See, we all sit in front of our cameras and we tell people, do your research, do your study, but not one of them, not one of those people will dare pick up the Bible and do what XJW Elder's wife and I are doing, showing proof conclusive the contradictions. And this is why she had to go and do her own channel, because to quote someone else's words, the evangelical wing of the movement will summarily delete any comment that they're not in favor of. So if I was to right now make a statement, how many of you would concur? Because I'm going to show you something. How many of you was willing to bet that if I did what I'm about to do right now under the channel Mark Martin, Berean Pickets, JW Escape, and a whole host of others.
Witness for Jesus.
Witness for Jesus. Because see, this is the reason why Jane Doe did her own channel, and she even did a video thanking Gus and Don, the Witness for Jesus, for deleting all the comments that they were not in favor of. Why? Well, because they want to control the content. No, it's that you're still captivated by fear. Because you may be behind the scenes without really saying that, yeah, I kind of agree with this, but you won't do it publicly because you know you're going to lose subscribers. This channel, Kim and I, we've never been afraid to lose subscribers.
Well, what happened is when you did your, Who is Jehovah? See, at that time, we were on Facebook, and I had probably about 3,500,
Followers.
Friends.
Friends, yeah.
I don't like the word followers
Right.
because I am not a cult leader.
Right.
And I don't like that word because I don't want followers. But so I'll use Facebook's term friends. I had over 3,500 friends. Well, when he did that video, of course, I got lumped in that. I lost almost every single Christian friend. Many that I had known since we first came out. And
Yep.
they asked, what's up with Mikey's video? And it's like, well, he's just doing research. That's his prerogative now. He can do that. And they said, well, how do you feel about that? And I said, to be honest, I don't know and I don't care.
Yeah.
Just because I helped him with the video, I was only there to read scriptures and make a few comments here and there. At that time, I didn't know or care about what my beliefs were.
Right. The point being is that you cannot sit in front of this camera and tell waking up Jehovah's Witnesses to think twice. Look at this. When you all talk about, looking at Watchtower's flip-flop doctrines, that's the same thing as exposing contradictions. But if you guys were to really think about what I'm about to do and then ask yourselves, how come these other channels ain't pointing this stuff out? Well, it's because it's the fear of losing subscribers. And if that channel is heavily commercialized, they're losing revenue. So you'll never see them do what I'm about to do. Get your Bibles, James 1, verse 13. When under trial, let no one say, I am being tried by God. For with evil things God cannot be tried, nor does he himself try anyone. Now we all get it. The devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. No one's ever going to say, God made me do it. Here's the challenge. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 18. We're going to read verses 10, 11, and 12. And I want you to think. And then I want you to recognize that if I did these two verses under the four above mentioned channels, they would be deleted out of fear of saying, hey, Mikey, that's a good point. I never saw that. Maybe I need to think twice about this. They'll never do it because fear still occupies their brain. 1 Samuel 18, starting at verse 10. And it came about the next day that God's bad spirit became operative upon Saul.
Now, wait a minute, Mikey. Jehovah doesn't have a bad spirit that operates on...
According to this scripture, which contradicts, when under trial, let no one say, God made me do it. God, because you can't charge evil things to God. But Samuel, under divine inspiration, is doing the same thing.
Well, then, see, that causes a dichotomy because is it a mistranslation? Which means it's not the perfect translation of God. So was it translated wrong, or is what they are saying true?
Well, let's look at what God's evil spirit caused Saul to do. Because if God's evil spirit had not become operative upon Saul, I don't think Saul would have ever done this. I'm going on. Okay, I'll just start over. And it came about the next day that God's bad spirit became operative upon Saul, so that he behaved like a prophet within the house, while David was playing music with his hand as in former days, and the spear was in Saul's hand. And Saul proceeded to hurl the spear and say, I will pin David even to the wall. But David turned aside from before him twice. And Saul grew afraid of David because Jehovah proved to be with him. So wait a minute.
Attempted murder.
But it was God's evil spirit that moved Saul to be a spear chucker. And then the writer says, but Saul grew afraid because he realized Jehovah was with him, with David. But it was Jehovah that put the evil spirit in Saul to chuck spears in the first place. But don't let anybody charge God with evil things. If I was to go over and put that comment under those channels, how much you guys want to bet they would be immediately deleted? And this is why Jane Doe had to go start her own channel, because some of this group were doing the same thing to her.
Well, they've done it to me. That's why
yes.
I had to do the rebuttal video to Witness for Jesus channel, because, you know, I was making comments. She had done a video saying what we believe. And she admitted that she wasn't watching our videos, but she knew what we believed from hearsay.
From hearsay.
So she did a video, you know, telling all the Christians what we believe now, and, you know, we're atheists and all of this. And I tried to explain to her, and my comments got deleted. So guess what? That caused me to have to do a rebuttal video to her. And, you know, I don't like the infighting in this community either. But sometimes things just have to be cleared up.
Things have to be done.
Constantly things have to be cleared up, exposed, you name it. But just know that the reason Mike and I do that is so that all of you will know what is going on, so that you can be aware and cautious of these people.
Right. Because if somebody like Gus, Outreach Healing Ministries, a couple years ago did a video saying Kim, Mikey, John Cedars finally agree, insinuating that we're atheists. Hey Gus, you agree with John Cedars too by deleting comments that you disagree with. 2 peas in a pod, people. 2 peas in a pod. It's just that simple to see.
Yeah.
Right? It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
You guys want another quick mind-bending one? Go get your Bibles. Go to Genesis chapter 10. We're going to start with verse 1. So you kind of get the context. And this is the history of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now you go down and you begin to read all of the history of the sons. Genealogy. Go down to verse 5. From these, the population of the isles of the nations was spread about in their lands, each according to its tongue, according to their... What? According to their tongues?
I thought all of them were one tongue at that time.
Well,
because this is pre-Tower of Babel.
Well, and we're going to prove it. So just remember that, according to its tongues. Go down to verse 20. These are the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their tongues, in the lands of their nations. Go to verse 31. These are the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their... You mean to tell me that whole year they were in the ark with Noah, Noah was teaching them in different tongues? Here comes the problem. Here comes a piece of history thrown into the context that comes out of nowhere, but nobody catches it. So you just got done reading that the national groups and the different languages come from Noah's sons.
Right out of the ark.
Right out of the ark. Okay? Genesis chapter 11. Verse 1. Now all the earth continued to be of one language, one set of words. How could that be when I just get done reading in Genesis chapter 10 that it's Noah's children that are responsible for the multiple languages? But it gets even better. Okay? When you read these, let's see
Histories.
here. Yeah.
Genealogies.
Yeah. You read Genesis chapter 1, chapter 11, start with verse 1, and you go up to verse 9, because this is why you know this is a bullshit history. Because as you read that all of Noah's sons were teaching different tongues, now comes the Tower of Babel, and God's all ticked off because all the nations are speaking one tongue, and then all of a sudden you go back to verse 10. Now this is the history of Shem. What the writer did under divine inspiration, Moses, you threw something into the context, into the line of genealogy that shouldn't be there. This story is out of historical context. But you're only going to be able to see that if you have the guts to read it and look at it for what it actually is. It's just a bunch of cobbled history. And some of it is even interjected out of context.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane Doe. Because a lot of this research that I've been doing, a lot of the conversations that we have, besides the political stuff, is always directed at validating each other's work. And especially her. Because I don't have the time. My wife right here doesn't have the time to do all of this research to make you people think. And you cannot sit in front of your camera and say, hey, Jehovah's Witnesses, when you wake up, use critical thinking. And then you go underneath their channels and you show a critical contradicting text and your comment gets deleted. What a bunch of hypocrites.
Very discouraging.
Yeah. It just makes a guy and a gal want to sit back and say, why are we doing this now? Why? What's the whole purpose? We don't have unlimited source of donators, so we can take vacations around the world for a couple of months. Oh no. Just two people with a camera in an office. That's all we are.
So you all have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.